Awesome. I'm going to introduce Jake Osowski. I had the pleasure of working with Jake last year for a day. It was awesome. Really thoroughly enjoyed it. Just a little bit about Jake. He's been with Family Heritage for over 3 years now. Started 1 month before COVID, pretty much the same time that I started. First year with Family Heritage, he was number 3 in sales for the company. Guys, that's huge. He hit regional director by year 2. Last year, his business, guys, did right at 2 million. Did 2 million. A couple fun facts about Jake. He is a wedding officiant. He's officiating his 5th wedding coming up in November. He's really hooked on spike ball. Like, guys, once you go to Mexico, you're gonna see Jake on the beach pretty much at all times, all sandy, crazy looking, just playing spike ball all day long. That's what he does whenever he goes on these trips. He does Spartan races. So in 2022 alone, he competed in 20 different Spartan races. So guys, he's a stud, and I'm super excited to hear from him and take some notes, guys. Make sure you take notes on Jake's part. And yeah, I'm going to turn it over to you, Jake.
Awesome. Appreciate it, CJ. Morning, folks. Glad it's fun to be talking to folks who are in the same time zone I am. I'm always kind of turned around as to where I'm at, what time it is. Kentucky, so I'm Eastern time zone today. I'll be Central tomorrow, but yeah, I talked to Kyle a little bit beforehand about what he wanted me to share with you guys and what would be helpful. And a lot of it, I just wanted to kind of hype up the Q3 trip and give some feedback of what's the best way of getting yourself there wherever you're at in your career, whether you're new, whether you've been here for a while. I guess quick background on me, like CJ said, I've been here for 3 years. Before this, I've been in sales for quite some time. But what's been kind of exciting about being in the Family Heritage career since I've been here, there has only ever been one trip that I haven't gone on, one of the incentive trips. It was the Florida trip Q1 last year, and it was while I was moving across country. Just didn't have time to make it happen. But I just get so excited about the trips that we have, the opportunities we get to really just get to know the people that we work with. We are so spread out in Family Heritage that sometimes it kind of feels like you're almost on this little island yourself, and you're building your business, you're doing what's right by you and your family, but that camaraderie aspect sometimes isn't always there. So these trips are such huge opportunities to get together with folks, and that's what I get most excited about, is just literally getting to meet people who maybe there's people in your agency that you've already gotten to build some of a relationship with, but it's more of a professional one. So just getting to be human with them, getting to spend time with their families, as well as there's people all over the country who go on these trips who you probably heard names of, seen faces of, but you just obviously haven't gotten a chance to interact with them yet. It's great. Last year I got to meet up with, because of what CJ mentioned with spike ball, playing that on the beach. I hung out with Travis Wilson's family, the IBG agency owner who's built up a whole bunch of other agencies, and I hung out with him and his family the whole trip. His 2 teenage boys absolutely wrecked me in spike ball, to the point where I'm not great at touching my toes as is, but never have I been chastised by 2 children more for my lack of flexibility. Just exhausted, but it's great. The relationships there, the places we get to stay are unreal. Like the dinners that we have, the quality of food, the quality of the rooms, the views, and it really, you just kind of get to make what you want of these trips. For any of you guys who have or haven't been on these, I love it because when you talk to people who go on these trips, you could have 2 people who have completely different experiences. Like folks who go and they want to go all out on a vacation, turn it into a beach potato and just laying there, relaxing the whole time. People who want to go and be social and do the whole drinking process, all the way up to, there's some folks who they just want to decompress and escape. So I get excited. You guys who are wherever you're at in your career, we've got a lot of time left to get on the Q3 trip, being that we've got 9 whole weeks. But at the same time, we really don't. So I had some thoughts that I kind of wanted to share with you guys that have been helpful to make sure that I've been on this Q3 trip every single year. And just some thoughts I've shared with the team of agents I work with, where we've got a lot of folks who are already on track to be there. First things up, first, for you guys who are taking notes, front load. Front loading is so huge in making sure you hit these incentive trips. Same way when you're working a week, the best thing you can do for yourself is have a Monster Monday. When you're working towards these trips, the more headway you can make now, the better off you'll be for when life stuff comes up at the end. It takes so much of the pressure off. If your goal is to hit the first level, 45,000, if you can be halfway there already, that's going to take so much pressure off. If your goal is the whole 65,000 where you get the entire trip paid for, you, a spouse, and an extra day, try and get to that halfway point as soon as humanly possible. Try and get to the entirety of the trip as soon as you can. It's been wild since I've been here for the last 3 years. I've seen people where they've been able to hit the entire trip qualifications within 1 month, whether new agent or someone who's experienced too. But really, I have also seen folks where they're such consistent producers and they just assume they'll keep being consistent, but they wait till the end or when it gets closer to decide whether they should or shouldn't crunch. Crunch now. Who knows what's going to come up on the tail end? It was a little bit unfortunate. I had 2 agents I worked with last year who missed the trip barely because they had some sort of life event happen in the last couple weeks of the quarter that they couldn't have planned for. So best thing you can do for yourself, front load, get yourself there. My goals, whenever I look at coming up on the Q3 trip, I don't set a goal to just hit the numbers that are there. I set a goal that's far past whatever the numbers are I need to get on the Q3 trip and make a game plan to get there. Because if you're working towards 80,000, let's just say that in a quarter, you're working towards 100,000, 120,000. If you're working towards that, the goals just tend to take care of themselves and the trip just becomes part of your process. It's important too, when you're setting these goals and you know you're working towards something, to come up with a set schedule that's going to help you get there. Knowing how many demos a week you need to have, knowing how many hours a week you need to be putting in. Also important to know your why when you're chasing those down. Like, why is it actually motivating to go on the trips? Why is that exciting? I just found out yesterday, Chad Conley, he's an agent who's been here about the same time I have. He's never motivated by trips at all, which I can't relate to, don't understand. He texted me yesterday. He'll be going on the trips this year. Chad just got married and his why is he wants to take his new wife on some trips that she's pretty fired up about. But when you think about that why, what's going to push you to get there, it's important to share that with people who are in your support network too. This is such a huge part. When you're going all in on working towards something, whether it's this trip, whether it's just your yearly goals, whatever it is, make sure that your support system knows what you're working towards and why it's important. One of the challenges that I'm going through right now, and I've had to, I guess, just been really clear on communication. I've been in a long distance relationship for about 2 years now, and am currently in the process of moving across country again. And so my girlfriend and I, we get a lot less time together than we would like. And I have to be very clear with her on here's the schedule that I'm going to be working. Here is why I'm doing it, and just asking for her support because it's something I'm working on towards for us, rather than, hey, I'm just not going to be available because I'm working a lot. Like on a week like this, where I'm training people in 2 different states, 3 hours apart from each other. Also, that's a big one. Utilize home mores and train more weeks during this quarter. Like if you're not someone who typically does anything different on train more, home more, make a point to do that. Have some blitz weeks built in. Go all out. And again, that's where you tie in your support system. Make sure they know, hey, this week is special because I'm going to take a big chunk out of what I need to for us to be going on this trip together. For me to have the money to set aside where we don't have to worry about a week of me missing work, where we can just sit on a beach in Puerto Vallarta and just relax. Because so much of just making sure you have your ducks in a row, you line up, you take care of the emotional stuff. When it comes to actually how do you hit the trip, I think there's a couple parts mentally and emotionally that are really helpful to get in line, but also I can give a couple technical tips that have helped me. When it comes to the mental and emotional side of things, you guys, be really conscious of protecting your field time right now. This is something we should do all the time in our career, but when you're in the field, really just protect your emotional energy and your time. If you have life stuff coming up, do what you can to plan it outside of your field time. If there's little things that come up, try and have systems in place where people can step in and help out. But more so than that, even when you're out selling in the field, sometimes we feel like we have to give our best to every single person we talk to. When you're chasing down an incentive trip like this, when you're trying to do something big you haven't done before, don't waste your time with energy sucks. This is like, I would say I'm good about this on a regular week. When we're looking at train more weeks down the road, I have a 3-strike rule. If I feel like I'm butting heads with people at 3 times, I just thank them for their time and I go catch the next person. I don't have the time and energy to waste on people who I'm not going to end up protecting. I'm not going to have time and energy to waste on people who are going to stop me from being able to be more effective with the next people. So be conscious of protecting your time, whether that's your time just in the field or what you're doing while you're out there too. Something that has helped me a ton in the career here as a whole, Justin Ellingson has always promoted meditation and prayer ever since coming here. Prayer has always been a big part of my life. I was naturally skeptical about the meditation side of things, but that in itself, now 3 years in, I have the same meditation I listen to on the app Headspace every single day. It's a 5-minute meditation before I walk into my first business, just to set aside everything else that's going on in life outside of the field. We all have so much stuff going on in our lives, whether it's family, whether it's kids, friends, whether it's just stuff we're dealing with on our own. The field is not the time to be dealing with that stuff. That's when you want to be focused on building your career and taking care of folks. And meditation is such a great way to set that aside. On busy weeks like this week, I probably meditate 2 to 3 times a day. Anytime I stop, I'm probably going to meditate after this conference call before walking in. We got started hour 15 minutes ago, protecting families already today. But to check back in to where I need to be, that's going to be something I have to do just to get myself there. And then spend time with your goals too. Something that I feel like, I don't even know where I learned this, but I think so many of us cut ourselves short when we're setting our goals in what's it going to take to actually get there. The reason I say that is I think a lot of people, when they're setting goals, will set a goal and then we literally just focus on the goal itself. Oh, goals. That's what I was about.
Please mute. Sorry, man.
It's all good. We'll give it a sec. You got it, CJ?
Yeah, I just went ahead and muted him.
Okay, cool. I'm significantly less ADD than Justin Ellingson when he runs these conference calls. He can't focus whenever there's background noise. But where I'm talking about goals, I feel like some people, they'll set a goal and you just focus on chasing that goal the whole time. But another step you can take is if you got a goal, I mentioned this already, figure out what work stats you need to do. That'll help you get those goals. If you know roughly how big your package size is, if you know roughly how many families you need to talk to or how many demos you need to get before you protect a family, backtrack and reverse engineer your goals to where you can literally break it down to, I need to get this many demos a day to get this many families protected, to get this much premium to get me on the trip. But even one step further, and this is where I'm talking the emotional prep that really just has taken my career to a new level, is once I have those weekly stats figured out or that I need to chase after, I then also journal and figure out what kind of person do I need to be that's going to lead me to do those kind of work stats, that's going to lead me to get those kind of results. It totally takes the pressure off the end result. It takes the pressure off the work stats. If I'm shooting for, 8? If I'm shooting for 8 demos today, okay, what type of person would get 8 demos in the field? Someone who is conscious of protecting their time. Someone who is okay with taking no and quick to go catch the next family. Someone who's really good at getting referrals and getting bought into their community. Someone who's conscious of their time. Someone who speaks slow when needed, but quick at other times. I focus on who do I need to show up as? And a lot of times those work stats and numbers just take care of themselves. So that is powerful. Think about that, not just in a day, but that's something you can even implement in your career. Hey, I want to be a market director. I want to be a regional director. I want to hit AO. Okay. What type of person do you need to be to get the work stats in, to get the kind of results that would lead you to those spots? And that's a great way to chase it. So technically, big things that help when you're chasing these incentive trips, big strengths I've seen where people get dialed in: referrals. When you're working a community and you take care of someone, you treat them well, they want to help you out. Something I was working with a new agent yesterday. She was like, "How do I get more referrals?" And I had her run me through the process on what does she do or what questions she's asking. And it almost felt like her questions were almost too pointed, which I think a lot of people do, where it's like, "Hey, who can you think of who'd be interested in this? Or who do you think would buy something like this?" Like, they don't know. They don't know people's situations. Literally, the way that I coach people on phrasing it is you really want to leave people open-minded when asking for referrals. But hey, who can you think of who would at least appreciate knowing about something like this? Which is dang near everybody. Who can you think of who would at least appreciate knowing about this? And if you already have your game plan for a day where you map out, hey, here's the businesses I'm going to go talk to, here's the people I'm going to go follow up with, why not take that one step further and also get organized and think through, hey, who do I want to get referred to today? If I'm going to work with an auto parts store, and I know that beforehand, I'm also going to have a list of all the other auto shops and auto parts stores in their town, all the tractor supply companies, anybody in farming equipment, because they probably do business together and they can tell me exactly who owns and manages it. If I'm going to a salon or cosmetic store, I'm going to have all the other salons listed out in the community. City offices, county, like who can they lead you to? And go in expecting to ask for that. Ninja One, I mentioned Chad Conley a little bit ago. Something he's done, and this is super helpful and can double your results quickly, is how do I phrase this? He basically uses everybody's beneficiary as a referral opportunity. Every beneficiary he gets down, he also gets a phone number, and he lets the person that he's covering know, hey, I'm going to reach out to your beneficiary, one, to let them know what they're the beneficiary of in case something happens, but also I'm going to see if they think this might make sense for their family. That is such a low-hanging fruit opportunity that implementing that now while you're chasing something like the Q3 incentive trip is such a simple thing to implement that can lead to crazy results. As an agency, we have at least 50% of our policyholders' beneficiaries end up signing up for something. So simple. And also, if you're wherever you're at in your career, reach out to your existing clients. Hey, who can you think of in your life that we can go and connect with who might appreciate what we're doing? Who can you think of whose family's gone through cancer and would have loved to have something like this ahead of time? Like, who works in a dangerous job? Just giving people ideas, and your existing clients will also help you out on that one too. And then itself, just being organized, getting dialed in, and that's really where that being mentally focused while you're out in the field and that organization is going to have such a big impact on that. And then just go follow up with them. We have 9 weeks left to get on the Q3 incentive trip. And it feels like a lot of time, and it is to an extent, but at the same time, it's really not. So front load now, build up your pipeline, ask for referrals, and then get really clear with yourself of who do you need to be to go and get the work stats that you need to get the results that you need to get you butt on that Q3 trip.
That is awesome, man. Thank you so much, Jake, for being on and hyping up the Q3 trip. It is awesome. Those trips are amazing. I love those trips. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna hit it for sure. I want to kind of open it up for some questions for everybody. I know that we have a lot of people on. Guys, who has a question for Jake?
I have a question. This is Katie Beards. So how do you get to a beneficiary and kind of roll into notifying them of being a beneficiary and then transitioning to like, hey, can I show you what we do?
Great question. First off, I would have whoever I covered send them a text. Hey, there's someone going to be reaching out to you that I spoke with today that I need you to connect with. Just as simple as that. They don't need to give more details. If the person asks, like, hey, if worst case scenario, I signed up for something, I made you my beneficiary, and you need to know what it is. So when I call the people, my conversation goes, "Hey, is this CJ? Awesome, CJ. I just got done talking to your buddy Kyle. I'm his insurance agent. We signed him up for a policy today that protects his income, and he made you the beneficiary. I just wanted to make sure that you knew what you were the beneficiary of in case something happens, so you could get in touch with me. Would you have some time where you and I can either meet up in person or do a quick Zoom call so I can run you through what Kyle has in place?" And that would just be the setup of it. And then once I meet up with someone, that's when I'll explain, like, I basically set a buying atmosphere on the front end, like, "Hey, CJ, glad we got to meet up really quick. Two reasons I want to connect with you. One, I want to show you what you're the beneficiary of for Kyle, just so if you need help, you can get a hold of me. But also, a lot of the folks I've talked to, once they see what their friends and family have signed up for, find that this makes sense for you as well. So if after I go through this, you think it makes sense for you, I can get you set up with it as well." And it's just building a buying atmosphere into that conversation. Like, "Hey, you don't have to buy anything from me, but if you want to, there's going to be an opportunity for you here."
Awesome. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's awesome. Who else has a question for Jake?
Hey, not a question, Jake, but dude, I appreciate you being on. This is awesome stuff. Tons of good notes. Holy smokes! I've never done that before, but the beneficiaries, I'm going to start implementing that right now. That is awesome stuff. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely, man.
That's awesome. Hey Jake, I got one quick question for you. I know that we got a lot of people on here that do some training as well too. You're training between two different states, 3 hours apart every day this week, right? Obviously you're regional director. You spend a lot of time with your team, training and developing your team. I know that there's a lot that goes into that with, interviews, business reviews, stat calls at night, kind of the whole 9 yards. Hey man, how do you prioritize, selling for yourself, making sure that you hit these trips all in the same time of, training, running your business, being a regional director? How do you find that good balance?
Great question. It's planning it in. Regardless of what point of the career you're in, you got to plan in that time for yourself. So when I was first starting to build and I had a little bit smaller team, I would plan in a week where I've got specific days that are my days I'm pouring in and training people, and specific days for myself that I'm out selling. At this point where I'm at as a regional director, just like, I guess just to give context, I am over the next 5 weeks field training 9 or 10 different people in 4 different states. It's gonna be wild. I'm on the road a lot. It's fine. But at this point, I just plan train mores are my weeks to produce, where I get to go all in for myself. But something that has really helped in producing is you really don't want to put off your selling time in general while you're helping people. Like, I sadly, I see some field trainers where they almost take this martyr approach, where it's like, I have to put all my life on hold to help other people be successful. Something I prep to anybody I work with directly is I'm going to match your effort and energy when it comes to helping you out. So if someone's dialed in, like Jason, who I'm working with today, dude is busting his butt. I signed up a policy today that on his iPad, I'm like, dude, let's get you rolling. You're started here. If I've got someone who's just not doing the homework that we give them, if they're not studying, like, when they come work with me, I might watch them do a couple demos, but I'm going to go sell and I want you to watch. Like, you just got to be protective of where is your time going to be built and where is it going to help? Is this someone who's going to be following through and it's worth watching, or do they just need to watch you go and sell some? And then plan into your schedule, whether it's having a couple days a week that, hey, this is my time to sell, or hey, is train more when I'm just going to blow up and go sell too.
That's
So
awesome.
I would say I've got those set times, but I also plan on, I'm going to sell at least a couple policies here and there while I'm training people for myself too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I know for me too, I take advantage of some unconventional hours as well too while I'm training. So yeah, we got to do whatever we got to do, to achieve the goals that we want to achieve, even if that means being a touch, working for ourselves a little bit, even in the midst of training other people, or doing what we got to do in the off time. So,
Mhm.
Anybody else got anything for Jacob?
I don't have any questions. I just want to say that this was awesome. I'm really pumped for the Q3 trip, and I saw you playing spike ball in Puerto Rico, so I know you're pretty good at it.
I like to think I am. I might have got a little too competitive in Puerto Rico. Spike ball should be played on the sand, we learned. Don't play on concrete covered grass.
Yeah. Then you were like broke your toe or something like that, didn't you?
I thought I tore my meniscus actually. I was on crutches for a month afterwards, but luckily I had a lot of nursing home enrollments, so they let me borrow wheelchairs while I was doing those enrollments, and I would race residents. So
There you
made
go.
lemonade out of lemons on that one.
That's perfect. That's perfect. Well, man, thank you so much for being on. This is an awesome call. We really, really appreciate you taking time out of your day, taking time out of field training. We'll let you get back to it, man. Let you go kill it, go crush it. Be safe with all the travel that you're doing. I know that that's not easy as well. And yeah, man, can't wait to see you in Mexico.
Awesome. Glad to be here, guys. Everybody have a good Wednesday.
Awesome. Alrighty, gang. We are halfway through the week. We've got some big incentives in play. You know, right now we've got the sunglasses incentive. We got double cash bonus month. This is a huge week. This is the start of the month. So this week is going to set the tone for the rest of the month. Guys, if you have a huge week this week, a big week this week, just think about what that's going to do, you know, at the end of this month, right before bonus time comes out. You know, guys, we can be literally sitting at hitting 20K, 30K, 40K for the month. But it all starts this week, and it all starts today. We're halfway through. Let's go kill it this week. Let's go crush it. And everybody, hope you have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, CJ.
Thank you.